we created Vives Q. He is currently in the steering committee of Familia Trans Queer Liberation Movement and serves on the kitchen cabinet of the newly formed Pride Action Team. Tonight, he's always done, he will be interviewing our special guest. Please welcome Emmanuel Garcia.
I wanted to say to Antonio, if his face looks familiar, if you've been watching Telemundo recently, he did a spot in Spanish for Pride Month, so he's doing that visibility work in the Latino Spanish-speaking community. You know, in all seriousness, he really is great. So I am honored to be here to present to you our two special guests. And I kind of wanted to preface the evening just by putting a little bit of context into tonight. So as Antonio mentioned at the beginning, tonight we dedicate the program to the victims of the Orlando tragedy. The tragedy on the early morning of June 12th at Pulse nightclub Latin Night in Orlando, Florida, where 49 LGBTQA people were killed and over 50 wounded, the majority Puerto Rican, Mexican, Salvadorian, undocumented, has left us all with heavy hearts. Images of parents and loved ones mourning lost lives are reported from across the U.S. almost every night, but for Black and brown bodies, this terrorism is caused on multiple fronts. A community starving of resources and a state that profits from our oppression. Marginalization has allowed terror to seep into our neighborhoods with bullets killing bystanders in turf wars run by an underground economy hungry for firearms and drugs. We see anguish in the parents of the 43 missing students of Ayotzinapa and Iguala Guerrero, and here at home where people of color are targeted, jailed, imprisoned, and murdered by a racist immigration and criminal justice system. There is no and in Latinx LGBTQ. Out of uprootedness, marginalization, disenfranchisement, oppression, and rejection, we have created chosen families. Houses, art, literature, music, drop-in spaces, groups, organizations, and yes, Latinite, where we could bring our whole selves. Through rejection from both a heteronormative society and the mainstream LGBT community, we found self-love, self-acceptance, comunidad. Perhaps this is why it hurts so much to have someone in baby space that grew out of our queer brown resiliency. Violence in our Latino community isn't new, but it's frequently more deadly for trans, gender non-conforming, and queer people of color. In the past 6 months, 14 trans people have been killed, the majority trans women of color. Last year, the number reported was 21. And I say reported because oftentimes trans people get misgendered and there isn't a systemic priority to investigate transphobic crimes. And if you think a hashtag or large masses of people are going to resolve what happened in Orlando, think about how absent the mainstream LGBT movement and heteronormative society has been around the safety, sanctuary, and acceptance of trans lives. The loss in Orlando is enormous. It will take some time to recover. We must create music with the ache of our heart, write with our tears, sing with our sadness, and laugh through the pain. May we seize this moment of unity to build a stronger Latinx LGBTQ community. One that acknowledges and celebrates our Afro-Latinidad. In this state of emergency, everything that you see that is missing right now is an action item for us to create moving forward. Like better mental health services for people experiencing trauma, more education and support groups for parents, access to HIV/AIDS prevention and treatment services, a wider network of trans healthcare providers, all bilingual and accessible to undocumented people. As we convened community for the past 3 years, we continuously read your feedback and asked ourselves, what next? We don't want to become a prescriptive program. Instead, we want to hold the space for the moment we are in now. So while policing and surveillance and banning firearms seem to be shifting the priority of some in our community, we want to focus this Vives Q series on centering the experiences, needs, and resiliency of our trans and gender nonconforming community. All of our special guests this summer identify as trans or gender nonconforming, and these are only 6 voices. So we want to further push our work and extend it beyond the series with a working project we are calling the Vives Q Labs, which you will hear more about as the series goes on. So yes, be inspired, but also be ready to act. As a cis Latino queer, I'm humbled and honored to present tonight's special guest. Tonight's thread is integration, addiction, recovery, self-acceptance, empowerment, resiliency. While some of the questions may seem broad, we ask that you keep in mind that there are perspectives, and by no means are they supposed to reflect entire groups and communities. However, we also know that experience and extensive community groundwork, like the 2 individuals we were here from tonight, have given us much, can give us much to learn from. So, on this Vives Q that I'm calling Vives Q 360, and forgive me if I have my back towards you, I'm going to start off tonight welcoming our first special guest, which is Frankie Pina. I do want to remind everyone that you can text throughout the night your questions, and I will get them here on my phone. So if you're on your phone and you want to text a question tonight during the Q&A portion, you can text the number, which should be on your screen, our screen, my screen, your screen. And the number is it 773-713 LGBT? 708-713. Oh, okay, 708-713 LGBT. So at some point, I'm sure Chris will get it together back there and we'll put it on the projector.